Je, tuangalie magazeti ya hapa nchini kwa kina. Even as we continue our special coverage of the State of the Nation Address 2025, the Standard has its own real State of Nation, and they say pledges and priorities. Kenyans have spoken. They do not need another ritual of promises. They need a State of the Nation that starts where life is actually lived, in the insecurity, the hunger, the shuttered services, and the daily grind of 13 million households. Until leaders speak to that honest, painful baseline, every grand vision remains just another speech, drifting above a struggling nation. And going by past rhetoric, it could be another session of oratory full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. Oh God.
Wamechoka. Amesema maneno tumechoka.
Wewe, hiyo by this nimesema. Hii nimesoma word for word.
Yes.
Kwanza acha nirudie. Hii sentence ya mwisho. And going by past rhetoric, it could be another session of oratory full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. On pages 8 and 9.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maneno tu.
Maneno
fury, lakini hakuna kitu hapo.
Kuna, unajua ile inaitwa hot air.
Yes.
Ile tu
wild goose chase.
Tu unasema wild goose. Signifying nothing. Okay, it's a bit harsh, but yeah, this is a reality, and they say that this is a real state of the nation. Kenyans are tired of promises. And you know, the ideal, and I'm sure the framers of the Constitution who wrote Article 132, which provides for this, the president has to address the nation once every year. He has no choice. He should tell people, because there's Article 10 that provides for the national values. Tumefika wapi in as far as getting towards those aspirations, the national values. Lakini sa shida inakuanga, unakuja unasema mimi nimefanya, nimetenda, nimetenga na nitafanya kule mbele. Hawataki kule mbele, wanasema tuko wapi sasa? Hata kama tunaenda Singapore, tumefika wapi sasa? Tuko wapi sasa? That is the reality. Yes. So what matters according to the Standard? Public finances, true. The economy, true. Security, corruption, devolution, governance and service delivery, as well as households. And this is where they say we should really focus. The 13 million households in Kenya, because that is where life is felt. That is where unajua state of the nation inamaanisha nini.
Yes.
Kwa nyumba yako, wacha hapa nje unaweza kuona turingia vile uko sawa, lakini ukiingia kwa nyumba, malilio. So yes, I'm sorry if I sound harsh. I was just referring to the front page of the Standard. Ndio mimi hakuna gazeti miwandika hata moja. Yeah. So they've covered actually a lot of pages for this. State of the Nation, page 2, page 4, wanaendelea, page 8, wanaendelea. People First National Address starts by tackling households and basics. New housing levy raises billions, but few homes have been built. Unaona hiyo maneno? Ruto democracy pledge under fire amid violations. It's the same thing, because he also has to talk about the state of our politics. Yeah? All this make up state of the nation. Kenyans worse off despite Ruto's loud promises. So that's the Standard. You can read more on that. Kule ndani, there's a lot of coverage about what's happening maswala ya by-elections. Yeah? Lakini leo zimesukumwa nyuma kidogo. Kasipul wanalipa kila mtu 1 million. Yes. The candidates. Imagine unalipa 1 million saa alafu next week una lose election.
Imagine.
Na umetumia pesa mingi. Were and Aroko pay 1 million each over Kasipul violence. Those are the candidates.
Wawe funzo kwa wengi.
Yes. Uko nyuma ni kilio zaidi. At the back page of the Standard wanasema total embarrassment. Total.
Oh, yeah.
So what happened was that Harambee Stars played a friendly yesterday in Turkey. Yeah, against Senegal. Walichapwa kichapo cha, tutasema kichapo cha nini?
Usiseme.
Bao 8 bila jibu. Lakini we angalia timu kama Senegal. Iko na watu kama Sadio Mane. What do you expect? Yeah? Anyway, total embarrassment, that's the Standard.
All right, tukisonga mbele, Daily Nation, promises versus reality, scorecard, and it's a mixed bag for President William Ruto as he makes his third State of the Nation address today. While his administration has scored some successes in agriculture, cost of living, economy and infrastructure, the education and health sectors are still a big challenge. What's your plan, Mr. President? this newspaper. Wanauliza the president, what's your plan?
Wale wengine wamesema nothing.
Maneno tu.
Signifying nothing.
It's a delicate balance. And president must address the needs of an expectant populace, even as he eyes re-election in 2027. Now, President's 2024 pledges versus achievement. Now, this newspaper imefanya kazi mzuri sana. Wametupatia what the president said last year versus kama tumezi achieve. The promise was in healthcare to implement universal health coverage UHC and to ensure equitable access, reduce corruption and improve efficiency. And the current state SHA debt crisis is at 76 billion shillings. Rufa hospitals owed 15 billion shillings. Many have abandoned SHA. Healthcare remains expensive despite more registered health facilities. Hapo ndio tuko. In agriculture, the promise was to reduce inflation and cost of living through improved food production. The current state inflation fell to 2.7%, lowest in 17 years. Import dependency ratio dropped to 70.3%, showing improved local food production. So hapo kuna success in agriculture and cost of living. Finance and economy, the promise was to stabilize the shilling and strengthen the economy and promote GDP growth and job creation. The shilling appreciated from 162 to 129 to the dollar, that is 20% gain. And GDP growth slowed to 4.7%.
Hii ni ukweli, hii ya 129 imekaa hapo 129 for a while mpaka IMF wanasema kwa nini inakaa hapo. Imestabilize at 129 for a very long time, which is a good thing. Give it to him and give it to this administration, some things like that, and inflation, yes. Yeah. But then again, as I said, the framers of the Constitution want, tell us where we are. Don't tell us where we are going. Ndio tunajua tunaenda Singapore.
Yeah.
Tuko wapi sai? Tushatoka, tumefika wapi?
And the Daily Nation wamecover so well. If you want to take a look at this, ziko hapo ndani. Education, finally tukimalizia. The promise was to resolve teachers shortages and stabilize universities and improve access and quality at all levels of learning. The current status, 76,000 teachers hired, 24,000 more to be hired. And you know, last year alikuwa amesema 20,000 teachers were to be hired by January 2025. Universities increased from 70 to 72, but funding declined from 30 billion shillings to 12.9 billion shillings. And help loans increased to 46.9 billion shillings, but lecturer strike disrupted learning. Yes, lecturer strike, about...
but they were sorted out at least.
Yes.
49 billion shilling deal, I think. Yes.
Half, yeah?
Yeah, it's more or less. So they went back to work.
Walienda. Now there's a special interview here as well that the Daily Nation did, and it talks about why I had fears of a post-Raila family fallout. This is the ODM party leader, Oburu Oginga. On the top strip, confusion, pain as Kazi Maju scheme lands hundreds of youth in financial trouble. That's another story on page 2 and 3. State of the Nation atazungumzia leo. Kazi Maju.
Kazi Maju. It was one of his main promises to actually take a lot of Kenyans and Kenyan youth abroad for jobs. Na imeleta maswali mingi sana. By yesterday there was a special report on the New York Times saying, watu wanaumia sana. Na kuna watu wana benefit hapa. So I hope we'll speak about it. I've seen some denials by the CS for Labor, Alfred Mutua, and also the Foreign Affairs CS in the dailies huko ndani. It should have been a top story, but because of the state of the nations zimepotea huko. But those are the things we want to hear. Hii migration of labor tumefika wapi?
Yes. And one of them was in parliament yesterday. What we mentioned.
Wajibu maswali.
Governors blame SHA funding gaps for deaths of 934 babies.
Yes, that should be part of the state of the nation. 934 babies have died.
This is the Daily Nation. Tukiangalia back page, Matters Sports, how Harambee Stars tour of Turkey ended in horror. Ulisema Turkey.
Turkey.
So, Turkey ended in horror. Birthday cake, beach walks and stage fright against Teranga Lions. Oye, sasa hakuna 1 million this time.
1 million. Unasikia the last time tulichapo kichapo kama hicho was 47 years ago. In 1978. Zambia walitutandika mabao 9.
What happened?
Hiyo 1978 hata Jomo Kenyatta was still there. 47 years later tunatandikwa proper.
This is the Daily Nation.
Na tulileta coach kutoka South Africa. Anyway, wacha tuzungumzie state of the nation leo. People Daily. Ruto's SHA and housing levy, new face of state power. They say building fantasies. So president recognized as a global affordable housing champion, yet on the ground, units meant for ordinary Kenyans are being converted into Airbnbs and high-end rentals. State of the nation nakwambia. Historical page 6. It's a mandatory deduction, 2.75% of your gross salary and 1.5 ile housing levy. Hiyo nyingine ni ya SHA. So where does the money go? It's a question here. Over 100 billion shillings has been collected from Kenyans so far, yet the housing board delivered less than 2,000 units. Najua kwa mesema 200,000 units in every year.
Every year.
Alafu na deliver less than 1%. In fact, it's 1,700 and something houses. Less than 2,000 units. So hiyo pesa inaenda hapi. That's the state of the nation. Because tumesema, wacha ile promise, tuache kusema 200,000. Sahi tuko hapi. State of the nation is 1,700. Yes.
Na hakuna kudanganya. Tutafanya fact check.
Tumefika wapi sahi? Tuambie tuko wapi sahi? Wacha ile itakuja. Hata usikuje kusema ati uko na mahindi na umepanda sahi. Umepanda mahindi. Haujui kama utavuna. True. Systems are struggling. Parliament raised concerns over delayed claims processing and malfunctioning SHA registration systems. Redistribution debate, policies mark a clear shift towards state-led social welfare and blah, 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 blah. But more or less, this is still the state of the nation. Vile we break down up more on this on page 6. Yes, definitely there have been successes and we've looked at them and the Daily Nation has them on the front page, but there are serious questions. Sidna insist, state of the nation, sio kule mbele, ni hapa sai.
Today.
Our state now. Kindiki tested in Bere North. Can he deliver for ruling coalition? This is another big story they have on page 9. And the consequences of the by-elections next week. Matiang'i pale juu eyes State House, but is Gusii buying it? It's another question, that story on page 6. People Daily.
Lakini nani anafanya affordable houses inakuwa Airbnbs? Ni nani huyo anafanya hiyo mambo?
Sasa inategemea ni nani amepewa.
Alafu anageuza Airbnb.
Unajua kwanza walisema kuna portal unaenda, you go register, then you get a house there. But then again, we started seeing that hizi nyumba zinapewa depending on ni mabao ngapi Harambee Stars wamefunga. Wanapewa. Anyway, that's the state of the nation.
The Star, the Cold War between Raila Oburu families. Stop fighting me, I didn't campaign to be party leader.
Oh no, and this is a sad thing. Just seeing an uncle and the niece there on two sides, after the kind of unity we saw during that period of mourning for the late Prime Minister. This should not be this way, especially for close family members.
I'd resign if I were Oburu. That is much better.
For the sake of the family.
Yes.
I'd
step down. Lakini tutajua amesema. Or if you want to know what he talked about, this story is on page 4 and 5. IEBC finds Kasipu candidates 1 million shillings each. Yes, hawa wakwe funzo kwa wengine. Kasipu imekuwa bedroom ya violence for a very long time. And now you can imagine if election bado, by-election bado, then what will happen on the day of the by-election?
But how, Kitambo, ODM and other candidates, it was an ODM zone. But this just goes to show you how ODM is now reacting, because this is a purely Luo Nyanza. So how ODM is now being treated there, that there are stronger candidates and enough for them to actually clash physically. Anyway, but it's very unfortunate, and it's good that IEBC has taken action against it.
Aroko ni wa? Where is ODM? Aroko?
I don't know which party. Anasema
lakini ametetemesha.
Candidates, Philip Aroko and Boyd Were. Boyd Were is the son of the late, alikuwa anaitwa nani Were?
Were. Yes. Cash crime in chaos. The chilling case of Willie Sayeko is another story on page 2. MPs on verge of approving judges 5.7 billion shillings pension packs. Let me tell you, the president should be the least of your worries. You see these guys? Chukua kura. The continuous voter registration inaendelea. Sahau maneno ya president. Enda nyumbani. Vote for your member of parliament. Judges have nothing to do with this. Yesterday uliona they were proposing.
MPs are the same ones who are saying pesa ya stima iongezwe. Alafu sasa ndo wanaongeza pesa ya judges.
Yeah, judges.
MPs. Wale unapigia kura.
Enda home. pige kura.
And that's a failure ndio ile kosani ilikuwa nayo when it comes to by-elections, because it's people who are supposed to vote for their MPs. But now it's not them. They don't even get to choose. It's the national leaders who are telling people, vote for this one. Huyu ndo tunataka. And that's a failure. Inaanzia hapo. It doesn't end wrong. It starts wrong.
You know, people don't actually realize that they're being told to vote for whoever they don't want.
They never chose any of those candidates. They were just told, huyu ndo mnapigia.
That's an eye-opener. Kule juu, Mudavadi summoned over government silence on Kenyans suffering abroad. State of the nation, pia hiyo. Kumekuwa na mayhem over that. Couple who lived together for 24 years were not married. Court rules.
State of marriage.
Come we stay is not marriage. Komeni kabisa.
Right.
This is a star.
The star, teuzi gali za Ruto anasema milioni wa walipa kodi yanywa maji kufuatia hatua ya rais kuteua wabunge waliochaguliwa mawaziri. So I see the concern is that most of these ministers were formerly MPs, elected members of parliament. But now it cost the country a lot of money to elect them. But now they've been appointed to CSs, some as speakers, and now you have to go back for by-elections, which are very costly.
Yeah.
Yes. You remember this by-election for next week was costing about 60 billion shillings. Was it 60 or 30 billion shillings thereabout? And that is because the president has chosen to appoint some of them to his cabinet. Wanasema uamuzi wa Rais William Ruto kuwateua wabunge 6 waliokuwa wakihudumu kujiunga na baraza lake la mawaziri umegharimu nchi zaidi ya shilingi nusu bilioni pesa za walipa ushuru kupitia gharama za chaguzi ndogo. Hatua hii imezua kesi mahakamani inayotaka uteuzi huo kutangazwa kuwa kinyume cha katiba. Yeah, should the president be told that okay fine, going forward you cannot select your MPs from guys who've already been elected as members of parliament? It's a big story there. Waaniaji watozwa faini ya shilingi milioni, hiyo tumeangalia kule Kasipul. Matiang'i atoa ahadi kwa Wakenya. Maandamano yametuharibia sifa nje Samia kule Tanzania. Pale juu waathiriwa 31 wa maporomoko kuzikwa katika kaburi la pamoja huko ni Kerio Valley. Habari za simanzi pale Taifa Leo.
And finally, Business Daily. Na nilikuwa najaribu kukuangalilia hiyo whatever you were mentioning about the amount that they were asking for the by-election. Safaricom to raise 40 billion shillings in largest corporate bond. Safaricom has received regulatory approval to issue a 40 billion shillings public bond for infrastructure upgrades in Kenya and Ethiopia, making it the largest corporate bond to be listed at the Nairobi Security Exchange. And the telecoms operator will issue the bond in tranches, offering a further boost to Kenya's corporate bond market, where East Africa Breweries Limited, that is EABL, has just raised about 16.7 billion shillings. That's a story on page 2. Global analysts see shilling weakening to 134 shillings against the dollar. Oh, wow. Sasa tumesema stabilized at 129 shillings.
129 imekaa hapo mpaka IMF wana complain.
Yeah. Na hao nasema inaweza panda to 134.
So tuone.
State of the nation. Investor wealth at the Nairobi Bourse declines by 74.5 billion shillings on the ticker. Kakuzi fights directive to cede 3,250 acres, and KCB Equity named in top African banks list. That's as far as local dailies are concerned.
Yes, and once again, a reminder, Wilson Sosion, Titus Loten, Professor Fred Ogola will kickstart our discussion this morning as we continue with our special coverage of the State of the Nation. Later, we'll be having young Kenyans in studio doing this. After that, our colleagues on set outside Parliament will be hosting a number of MPs. Elizabeth Mutuku will be there with MP Nelson Koech, later with Peter Orero of Kibra and Julius Ruto of Keses.
They're all in one panel.
Pale wao wako pale.
Wako pale hapo.
Lakini najua wengine wanakuja wakifika, mwingine anasema acha niondoke, mwingine
nice. Later on, Andrin Kilemi will be hosting Kevin Osido, and former NC former political analyst. I've forgotten what you said.
Is the Executive Director, County Governance Watch.
I am vindicating our editor, Kenneth Kazungu. All right.
Anyway, so yes, just before we take a look at what the young Kenyans are expecting, let's take a look at the cartoons tuone wanazungumzia nini. Daily Nation, new tough rules applies henceforth.